Hello everyone, welcome to video. Today we're gonna figure out what the fuck I'm gonna read in autumn, okay? I have, in my reading journal, I've written down Herbstleseliste aka Fall TBR. I have a trusty mug of tea with me. This is my favorite mug, I love her so much. And I'm sipping a rooibos tea. I actually wanted to take a sip right now, but honestly this finished steeping like 30 seconds ago. It is boiling hot. So let's get into that. Okay. The thing is, I like to consider myself a mood reader. However, if I were to have a moment of vulnerability and honesty with myself, I would realize that I'm not. I am a panicked reader, you could say. I'm somebody, I don't manage to stick to reading in like a regular pattern sort of way. I'm more somebody who will not read for 3 weeks, then binge to through like 2 or 3 books at a time and like one go, and then not read again. And I don't really like doing that. And I think one of the main reasons why I'm actually living like this is just the fact that I have a hard time making decisions, and picking out the next thing I want to read is hard for me. And I know that that is ridiculous. And I know that that is, maybe I'm over exaggerating a bit. I just realized I don't have my laptop here. I need that sucker 1 second. However, I do also realize that like monthly TBRs don't really work for me, because I have months where I basically don't read for 3.5 out of 4 weeks. And then having a monthly TBR that I know I won't get to is also kind of difficult for me. And so I prefer to have just like a general stack. I just have a stack of books and I read one of those books. And I just pick them up whenever, wherever, however, and I don't know, it just works a little better for me. Okay, so I have here, this is most of my physical TBR. I have a couple more books on the shelf that we are also going to go through. I have some library books in here, and we are also going to check my digital TBR on my Kobo, because you might look at this and be like, wow, you have so few unread books, that's so impressive. And while I am kind of proud of how well I've managed to keep the ratio between reading and purchasing and unhauling very even and a very healthy amount, my e-reader is a far longer and far more tragic story in terms of TBR, okay? I don't want to talk about it. And then we are mainly going to do this based on what I'm generally in the mood for, what I think will work for fall. And I am also doing, I don't think I've talked about that on this channel yet. I'm doing Hache, which is, oh god, the bangs! Sorry. Sorry. I'm doing Hache, which stands for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. It is a reading challenge, a year-long reading challenge that was created by, oh, what's her name? Oh god, Stephanie from QWordy. She has a channel, I'll link it down below. Very fun. I also like her other videos. I found her through the challenge, but I think her content is really fun as well. And this is a reading challenge that is the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. It is just a very intricate, complex reading challenge with a lot of different prompts, and a lot of prompts that are supposed to like challenge you to leave your kind of comfort zone with reading. So we're also going to see that we can find some books that will fit some of the prompts. I am going to say right now, I'm not going to finish Hache. There's no way in hell that I will manage to do this. I don't know if anyone's like done the math how many books you would have to read minimum to actually finish it, but I'm guessing it's more books than I read in a year. So I would say let's go through this stack first. The first things I'm going to show you are my library books. Can I be vulnerable for a second? Just once. I haven't had a library card until this year. Like, I just got one a couple of months ago, and I don't know how I've lived before. And I'm so excited that I have one now. And I also like this, these are from my hometown library, and I don't have one for my university town yet. That's also a mission I'm gonna go on in the next couple of days. Okay, so the book I really want to read out of the stack in fall is Firekeeper's Daughter by, what's her name? Angeline Boulley. This book, I actually don't know what it's about. I know it is a YA like thriller or YA mystery, And that is one of my favorite genres. And I recently like looked up recommendations for this genre. And this was just one that kept coming up. It also has like insane ratings. Okay, the other 2 books from the library that I have here that I would still really like to read are Shanghailanders by, what's her name, Juli Min. This is a like sci-fi book about a Japanese Chinese family living in Shanghai. And the book starts in 2040, and then we actually go backwards and we kind of see the young family's history between 2014 and 2014. And I just think that this sounds really good. And also, I'm obsessed with Shanghai. Like, Shanghai... Oh, I hope to live in Shanghai one day, honestly. Shanghai is so nice. I miss it so much. Sorry, I'm getting dramatic. But yeah, I do want to read this one. I'm just not sure. This is not something that I have like on my mind specifically for fall, but I am going to keep it on the stack with the other library books. And then the last one I have is The Cousins by Karen McManus. I actually was looking for One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus, but they didn't have it. Online it said they did have it, and they had it in stock and everything, but it just wasn't there. But then I decided to pick this one up as well. Again, this is YA mystery, and I've never read anything by Karen McManus. And I think obviously like the One of Us is Lying series is probably one of the most famous YA mystery thrillers. So yeah, I just wanted to check this one out. It's like a rich people family history. Basically, the grandmother is estranged from her children and grandchildren, and then eventually she invites all of her grandchildren to kind of come and presumably get back into her good graces. And the parents are all like, you need to go, you need to fall back in with this woman because you're gonna inherit a lot of money, I think. And then something goes down. I don't know, but it sounds fun. I love YA mystery so much. Have I ever rated YA mystery 5 stars? No. Do I still think it's my favorite genre? Yes. That doesn't have to make sense to you. Okay, so these are the books that I got from the library that I want to read. Firekeeper's Daughter is on the list. The rest of them are more just here for vibes. Like, I might, you know? Okay, and then I'm gonna put these 2 away just because neither of them really give me fall vibes. As for the books that I do want to read, first of all, I have Wenjack by Joseph Boyden. This I got as a birthday gift from a friend recently, and it is about a boy who runs actually a native boy, same nationality. Is it nationality? Same tribe as the book in Firekeeper's Daughter, the Ojibwe? Is that how you say that? I'm so sorry. He runs away from an Indian school. Okay, understandable. Not realizing just how far away from home he is. And I think it's like it's illustrated as well, and it's just his story of like trying to go home. I don't know if it's fantasy, or like magical realism, but I'm pretty sure it is. And my friend said she read this and she recommends it. It's incredibly short, and I think I'm gonna enjoy this. I really want to read this fall. So I'm gonna throw that on the list. Let me actually do these 2 first, because these ones I'm actually in the middle of. So the first one I've already been reading for a couple of weeks, and that is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I'm literally 40 pages in, but I've just read like a page or 2 every couple of days. This is about indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teachings of the plants. And it's basically, Bridget Kimmerer is a biologist and a professor at Mother Scientist, decorated professor, and enrolled member of the citizen Potawatomi Nation. She lives in Syracuse, New York, where she is a Sunny Distinguished Teaching Professor of Environmental Biology and the founder and director of the Center for Native Peoples and the Environment. So she's Native American, and she is also a scientist, and she kind of uses science to explain indigenous wisdoms that have been passed down to her and also that have been lost in history. Not due to history, but like due to settlers in America. And yeah, I have heard nothing but beautiful things, and from what I read so far, I think this is going to be a highlight for me. I think I'm going to rate this 5 stars. I think this is going to be a life-changing book for me. And I just want to take this very slowly. So I don't even have the goal to finish it in the next 2 or 3 months, but I want to keep chipping at it, you know. Okay, next up, I'm currently reading, I'm also 40 pages into this one. What's it called? The Son of Neptune by Riordan. This is the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which in turn is a spin-off series of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I have read Percy Jackson, I finished it a couple of years ago, and I've always been curious about these books, but for some reason just haven't picked them up yet. And I decided now is the time. So I just recently finished the first one, and I really loved it. I thought it was so charming. My biggest issue that I used to have with Percy Jackson was just the fact that I think I was too old when I read it. Like, I think I was just... If I had been in middle school while reading them, I would have just enjoyed them more. And these ones are a little bit older. I think the characters are all like around 16, between 15 and 17 maybe. Whereas in Percy Jackson, he starts off as a 11 or 12-year-old boy. So yeah, that is something I really enjoyed. And I'm really excited about this one. I do want to read I would like to read the entire series in the next few years. In the next few months. Like, if I manage to finish the series before Hache ends in July, that'd be fantastic. But this is the sequel. Obviously, I can't really tell you what it's about. Let's just say there's a new big bad, and we just learn a lot more about the lore. And there's also Roman gods in this series, and not just Greek ones. I mean, they're the same gods, but like they also exist in their Roman forms in these books. And then the last one I have on the stack over here is The Ruling Class by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I think with Jennifer Lynn Barnes, many people, including myself, don't realize how big of a backlist she has. Because I read Little White Lies earlier this year, and this came out, I think, like 2013 maybe? 2018? Maybe I'm mixing that up. It's been a minute. And I think this one came out in 2015, and this is about, basically, it's like the show Scandal, but in high school, is what I'm getting from the synopsis. So it's about a girl. She moves to Washington to live with her sister. Her sister is a fixer, the kind like what Olivia Pope does in Scandal. And the protagonist, what's her name? Tess. She goes on into like a big private school full of like very rich douches, basically. And she kind of becomes a fixer there. And eventually they kind of have cases that overlap. I think. I don't know, man. I don't care. I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I already know I'm going to have a fantastic time with this. And I also think this is probably a good one for fall because it takes place in a school. And it's a mystery, thriller, something. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. Okay, and that finishes out the physical books. And that leaves us with 5 books on the physical TBR. So I'm thinking this TBR should at least last me into November. It's the end of September right now. So good 2 months. And I think in 2 months, like I can put at least 8 books on the list. If I don't finish them all, that's fine. Okay. Actually, I just started a new book this morning. I started Animal Farm by George O. I'm not going to put that on the list because let me check how long this cowboy thing I'm going to read this for. 2 hours. I think I might power through all of that tonight, you know. I'm not going to put it on the list just because I think. There are, however, 2 prompts that I need to fulfill in the next 2 months for Hache. And that is, there's a new releases prompt. So every month you are supposed to read a new release. You do have 60 days to read it. So if I want to read a book that comes out the 30th of September, I actually have time till 30th of November, which is nice. But it still means I have to read a new release every month, basically. And I don't keep up with new releases at all. So this one has been challenging for me. However, I have a couple that I'm interested in. The first one is The Academy. I'll put the cover somewhere. The Academy by Elin Hilderbrand and her daughter something Cunningham, Samantha Cunningham, is that maybe? This is, again, a YA mystery. It takes place at a boarding school where they basically have a gossip girl. I don't know if it'll lean more into the gossip girl aesthetics of just rich people drama, or if it'll actually like try to solve who is this person and what kind of serious consequences does it have that this person exists. And I honestly don't care. I think that YA mystery, if I am somewhat intrigued by the general premise, I can pick it up without any bigger issues. So this one is one that I have on my list for new release for September. The other one isn't out yet, and that is Oxford Soju Club by Jinwoo Park. I have to look that up 1 sec. Park Jinwoo. I knew that. Why did I even bother? So I think for my September new release, I want to read either or. I don't think I'm going to pick up both, but I'm both going to put them on the list and then just choose one. Okay, so in Oxford Soju Club, as far as I can tell, we follow a young North Korean spy who's, what's it called? Teacher? Sure, let's go with teacher. Who's a teacher who, the person that he was supposed to kind of shadow was murdered. And the last words of that teacher is Oxford Soju Club, which is the only Korean restaurant in Oxford. And then it's kind of spy drama with the CIA being involved and the South Korean spies being involved. And I don't really know. I don't know too much about North and South Korean secret services. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to grasp this book. But I just think the plot sounds so interesting. I don't think I've ever read anything like it, which is why it's been on my radar. And this one comes out on the 30th of September, I think. Okay, the other prompt that I have to fulfill in either September or October is the Heritage Month prompt. So apparently September and October is Hispanic Heritage Month, and I have a couple for that on my radar as well. I have a list of 4 Latin books that I kind of accumulated over the last few weeks. The first one is But Not Too Bold. This is a sapphic book, I believe, about a spider monster that wants to eat a woman. I think like the village sacrifices women to her and she's gotta eat them. It sounds really weird, but it's very short, and I think like a short little weird book for fall, that works. Then I have Middle Spoon. This one actually would also work for another prompt, because there is a queer rainbow alphabet, whatever it's called, prompt, where you basically read a bunch of different queer identities, and one of them is polyamory. I have never read a book with polyamory, and so Middle Spoon by Alejandro Varela. I'm so sorry, I cannot roll my R's to save my life. That is a book about a polyamorous man. So he's married to another man. They have, I think, a daughter together. They have a very happy life. And then the protagonist gets dumped by his boyfriend. And so it's kind of him still being in a happy relationship, but also him dealing with the heartbreak of being dumped. And apparently he's absolutely insufferable. So I do know that I have to be in a certain mindset to read that. But I've never read a book about a polyamorous identity. And I think that would be very interesting. And I also really like the idea of having a character that is also already like well in that. Because coming out stories are fun and they're important. And people exploring their sexualities, that is important. But I do think, for me as someone who isn't questioning for themselves whether they might fall into this identity, for me, I think it's actually more valuable to see someone who is already living like this and who is already kind of done the inner work to figure out that this is how they want to live and that this is who they are, and not to go through that with the character, because it just kind of normalizes it for me more. Yeah. The next one is Kiss Me Maybe. I'm gonna be honest, this one's by Gabriella Gamez. I've completely forgotten what this is about, but the series is called Librarians in Love, and it's 2 women kissing on the cover. Yeah, so I think that works. And the last one is Camila Núñez's Year of Disasters by Miriam, Zoila, Pérez. I'm so sorry. I don't know Spanish, in case you couldn't tell. And this one, I think is gonna be the one. I'm like, this is either this one or Middle Spoon are probably gonna be the ones. Just because this one has no ratings. I think it has less than 100 ratings, which is basically unheard of. I have rarely seen books on Goodreads with that little ratings. And I just started a series where I review books that basically have very few ratings, and I think this one would be a fun one. It is about a woman, Camila Núñez, I'm assuming, and she has a tarot card reading from a friend who predicts her life is gonna go absolute bullshit down the drain in the next year. And we just follow her have an absolutely terrible year, and she's also dating a non-binary person, I think. I'm very intrigued by this one. This one is about the protagonist is Cuban American and also queer. And it's just also a perspective that I've never read from before. I don't think I've ever read anything by a Cuban author before. So I think this one would be fun. I'm gonna write down Middle Spoon and the Camila Núñez book and leave the other ones just on my TBR. Okay, and I think that's it in terms of hard prompts I would like to hit. I think a lot of these are going to work for a multitude of prompts, but the new releases prompt and the Heritage Month prompts are just the ones that they're not flexible. You know, like I have to do them in this specific time frame. I think it's a pretty good list. I think I'm satisfied with this. Yeah. Okay, let me know what is on your fall TBR. What are you most excited to read in the next few months? Have you read any of these books, and do you have any recommendations that I could add to my TBR? Alright, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!